Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel and also do not forget to press the bell icon so you never miss any video tutorial published by me.
Hi students, in previous video lectures we talked about and we studied detailed information about light reaction of photosynthesis, but we know that apart from light reaction there is dark reaction also of photosynthesis. So today let us discuss dark reaction and how exactly light reaction and dark reaction is light reaction and dark reactions are interconnected. So we studied about the scheme and zigzag scheme and everything. So we know in light reaction light falls on the leaf of the plant, then it is captured by the chloroplast. There is machinery to capture light harvesting complex which captures the sunlight, and then it funnels the light energy into the actual reaction centers. So light falls on the leaf and then water is split into oxygen. So it is a byproduct of light reaction. Right, and we get NADPH plus H plus light. NADPH and ATP. Now, so that was light reaction. Now these NADPH and ATPs are utilized by the dark reaction. The process is known as Calvin cycle. Now, in dark reaction, these products which are produced in the light reaction, they are utilized by the plant within the stroma of the plant where Calvin cycle operates. And when the reaction is complete, then these reduced products get converted into the oxidized form. Because NADPH after being utilized and ATP after being utilized in dark reaction, then it again becomes NADP plus and ATP becomes ADP plus PI, inorganic phosphate. Then again in light reaction they are again reduced to form this, and this cycle goes on. Right? So let us see what happens in dark reaction. In dark reaction, the environmental carbon dioxide, which is in an inorganic form like in air, it is fixed into carbohydrate. Just imagine the inorganic carbon dioxide, which is in gaseous form, it gets converted into carbohydrate, the actual food that we eat. And this is the reaction, basically, which has sustained the entire life on this earth, directly or indirectly. So, CO2 gets converted into carbohydrate. This is the formula for carbohydrate. Like when we see H2O, N indicates here an integer. Like in glucose, it will be 6. So that CH2O will be like this. So it will be actually C6H2 into 6. C6H12O6. And in sucrose, it will be 12. So that it will be C12 and whatever the formula is. Right. So that is just an overview of Calvin cycle. Now let us discuss the 3 steps of Calvin cycle in detail. So now let us understand the Calvin cycle. It was basically elucidated by a botanist named as Melvin Calvin, and he got the Nobel Prize for it. This cycle is also known as reductive pentose phosphate cycle because this molecule is a 5-carbon compound and this compound is finally reduced during the cycle. So basically the cycle has 3 steps. It proceeds in 3 stages. First stage is carboxylation, second one is reduction and the third one is regeneration. So first of all, carboxylation of ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, which is a 5, I have shown here, it is a 5-carbon compound. So it serves as a backbone and also as an acceptor of carbon dioxide coming from the environment. Along with carbon dioxide, water also enters in the cycle. So during carboxylation reaction, carbon dioxide molecule, like carbon from the carbon dioxide molecule, is covalently linked with ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. So since carbon is being accepted over here, so the reaction is known as carboxylation. That means addition of carbon, simply. Now, after accepting one carbon atom, it already had 5 carbon atoms, one it accepted from carbon dioxide. So it becomes 3C, it generates 2 molecules of 3-phosphoglycerate. Let me show these 2 molecules rather over here. So basically, because six carbon atoms are there, and finally we are getting 3-phosphoglycerate, which has 3 carbon atoms. So that means 2 molecules of this carbon atoms are this carbon compound, 3 carbon compound are being generated. Now let me tell you this, what glycerate is. Any molecule which has a group COOH, it is known as acid. Any hydrocarbon. It's not like other acid, inorganic. I'm not talking about inorganic acids like HCl, H2SO4, not those acids. Any hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is a long chain of carbon atoms like this. So if any COH group is attached in them, then they become acid. They acquire acidic character. Now we know that COO finally splits into COO negative plus H plus because it's an ion, so it will donate H plus. So when it is in this form COOH, then it is known as 3-phosphoglyceric acid. But when it is in ionic form, COO negative plus H plus, then it is known as glycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate. So, and we know that acids are oxidized form. Let me tell you how acids, I think in previous videos I have explained how alcohol produces aldehyde after oxidation, and aldehyde then again after being oxidized produces acids. Alcohol, that means OH group, after oxidation creates aldehyde, which is CHO, and aldehyde finally create acids, which are COOH, when it is further oxidized. And vice versa is also true. Like if acids are reduced, then they become aldehyde. When they are reduced, aldehyde oxidized into acids, and acids can be reduced into aldehydes. So here reduction is occurring. Why? Because we are getting aldehyde. From glycerate, which is an acid, we are getting glyceraldehyde. That means reduction has occurred. Reduction is gain of hydrogen, gain of electron, loss of gain of or loss of oxygen. So here from COOH, one oxygen is removed. So that means loss of oxygen has occurred, which is known as reduction. So I hope it is clear. So we get, from here the cycle starts. So finally we get glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and during this reaction basically ATP and NADPH, which were synthesized in light reaction, right? So here they have got a role. Here for reduction we require ATP and NADPH because NADPH is a high molecule, high energy molecule, and ATP is also known for providing energy. So they are utilized for reduction of 3-phosphoglycerate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and this is the first stable product of Calvin cycle, and this is the product which actually generates glucose. Like when two molecules of this organic compound will combine, they will form glucose, and then one glucose and one fructose form sucrose. Then polymerization will also lead into formation of starch. Starch is a polymer, right? Like we use glycogen for storage of glucose for future use. The glucose which we do not utilize immediately, we store it in the form of glycogen. We polymerize the glucose and then we store it in the form of glycogen in our liver. In the same way, plants also store glucose, but they store in the form of starch for future use. But basically we are the ones who actually eat the starch because we are eating their fruits and everything. So in those foods only starch is stored. So plants make it for themselves, but we are the ones who are using them. Right. After glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate has been formed, now our purpose has been solved. Has been served, because we want to generate carbohydrate. This is our motto. This capability is there in only plants. No other, like animals or heterotrophs can't do it. Can't perform this fixation of inorganic carbon dioxide into carbohydrates, organic molecules, from inorganic to organic molecules. So now we got it, what we wanted. Now it's time to regenerate this molecule again. Because this is not the only one sucrose which will be enough. Next time also plants need more sucrose, more and more. So this molecule, 5-carbon compound, needs to be regenerated. So in regeneration, nothing happens, like nothing is much used. Only ATPs are used and they get converted into ADP. This is a long pathway we will discuss just after this completion of Calvin cycle. Basically, so I hope everything is clear. So basically, for generation of one molecule of 3-phosphoglycerate, we need 3 ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate and ATP and NADPH. And in the end, we get ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, 3 molecules of ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate in regeneration, during regeneration steps. So whatever the ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate is utilized for making carbohydrates, it is regenerated. And how it is generated, let us discuss it now. So basically we only use ATP, that's it, nothing else. The plant uses only ATP to do this, and this molecule is regenerated. Carbon dioxide comes in, but it is from environment. So plant basically does not lose anything, because whatever the ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate is utilized during the Calvin cycle, it is regenerated. So now let us discuss regeneration, which is a very bigger step and quite important step. Students, now let us understand how exactly ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, which is used as a carbon backbone for generation of carbohydrates. How exactly it is regenerated. It is written as 3-RUBP in short form. And the enzyme which uses carbon dioxide to fix for carboxylation is known as Rubisco. It is a very famous enzyme. I forgot to write it in the previous discussion. So this process we have already discussed in the previous discussion. RUBP combines with 3 carbon dioxide to form 3-phosphoglycerate, right? And the process is known as carboxylation. Now after that, 1,3-bisphosphate, 6 molecules are produced. 3 molecules of this 5-carbon compound and 3 molecules of this will form 6 molecules of 3-phosphoglycerate. Now glycerate kinase, which causes phosphorylation and uses ATP for it, will convert 3-phosphoglycerate into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So phosphorylation has occurred at first position of glycerate, phosphoglycerate. Right. Now glycerate dehydrogenase will use NADPH plus H plus to generate 6 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. We know that this is the first stable product of dark reaction, and this is the product which is used in metabolic pathway. That means for generation of carbohydrates like sucrose and starch and everything. We have already done that. So here also reduction is occurring over here. From glyceric acid to glyceraldehyde reduction is occurring. We discussed that earlier also. Now what will happen to this 6 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate? This is a 3-carbon compound as we discussed earlier. Now it will get isomerase is the enzyme which does not add any molecule, any atom, neither it adds any atom nor it removes any atom. Only the atoms get reorganized, like aldehyde gets converted into ketone or something like that, right? So it will only rearranges the atoms. So now this 2 out of these 6 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, 2 molecules will get converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate. We also know it as DHAP. It is also formed in glycolysis. And the enzyme which catalyzes this reaction of isomerization is known as triose isomerase, because this is a 3-carbon compound. Now what happens is, one of the molecules from this these 2 molecules of DHAP will combine with 1 molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. That means 3 molecules will come from here and 3 from here, right? 3 molecules, 3 carbons, 3 carbon atoms of dihydroxyacetone phosphate and 3 carbon atoms of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will combine. And here aldol condensation will occur, and the enzyme which will cause the aldol condensation will be aldolase, as the name indicates. Now a 6-carbon compound will be formed, which is very famous compound, organic compound, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, right? So we used 1 DHAP already from here, right? To make, and further this, because it has 1,6-bisphosphate, 2 phosphorylation at 2 sites. Now an enzyme known as phosphatase will remove 1 phosphate from first position of fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and it will become fructose 6-phosphate, right? Now out of the two dihydroxyacetone phosphates, one has been used here for generation of fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Now one is left. Let me do it further, discuss it further. Then I will tell you how exactly the rest of the one molecule is used. Now what will happen is, once fructose 6-phosphate has been generated, now because here we have how much? 6-glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So one has been used here. One more glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will be used here. It is a 6-carbon compound I have written over here, and this one is a 3-carbon compound which I have written over here. Right. So total will be how much? 9 carbon atoms. So trans-ketolase will convert. They both will combine fructose 6-phosphate and 1-glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to generate two molecules. One 5-carbon compound over here and one 4-carbon compound over here. So out of the 9, 5 will be split over here and 4 will be split over here. So xylulose 5-phosphate will be formed and also erythrose 4-phosphate will be formed. Right? 6 carbon atoms from here and 3 from here. Right? So we got the breakup of 9 carbon atoms which will combine. Now what will happen is, it has 4 carbon atoms, erythrose 4-phosphate. So one dihydroxyacetone phosphate is left over here. So that one DHAP will combine with one erythrose 4-phosphate. So how much will it will become? 4 atoms from here, erythrose 4-phosphate, and 3 atoms from DHAP. So they will combine, and they will combine to form a 7-carbon compound, pseudohaptulose 1,7-bisphosphate. So that's how 3 plus 4 carbon atoms are utilized. Right? Pseudohaptulose will further undergo, like one phosphate is removed from first position by the action of phosphatase. We know the enzyme. I'm not writing it over here. Phosphatase will remove one phosphate group from the first position. So it will be left with only one phosphate. So it will be pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate instead of pseudohaptulose 1,7-bisphosphate. Right. So we discussed this. Now one more molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will combine. It is a 3-carbon compound and it will combine with one molecule of pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate. So now 7 molecules are coming from here and 3 are coming from here. 6-glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And so total is 10 carbon atoms. Now these 10 carbon atoms will produce 2 molecules. One 5-carbon compound and another 5-carbon compound. So 3 plus 7 is 10. So 5 plus 5 is also 10. So ribulose 5-phosphate and ribose 5-phosphate. Both will be created. Now we know we have xylulose 5-phosphate over here also. An enzyme known as epimerase will act on it. And it will get converted into ribulose 5-phosphate. One ribulose 5-phosphate was already there. And ribose 5-phosphate will isomerize by the action of enzyme isomerase, and it will also form ribulose 5-phosphate. So we got 3 molecules of ribulose 5-phosphate. One from here, second from here, and third from here. Now it's simple. 3 ribulose 5-phosphate will will be converted into 3-ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, RUBP. Right, and 3 ATPs will be used here. And the enzyme which will catalyze this reaction is ribulose kinase. So that now the 3 RUBP which were used in dark reaction, they have been regenerated. Now they will be used for carbon fixation of other inorganic carbon dioxide which will come from outside. So that's how the 3 RUBPs which were used are regenerated again. So the only thing the plant used over here is ATP and NADPH. That is also like a kind of ATP. So plant didn't lose anything. RUBP has been regenerated, the entire 3 molecules. And if we see 6-glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, so 3 of them are used here, 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, and 2 came here. So 5 are used for regeneration, whereas 1 which is left is used for the generation of carbohydrate, that is glucose or sucrose and all. So I hope this regeneration process is clear, although it sounds a bit complicated, but if you understand it, then it is very easy to guess what is happening over here. So that's all about dark reaction. So in dark reaction we covered carboxylation, reduction and regeneration. So now let me summarize everything that we learned in during Calvin cycle, which is the dark reaction of photosynthesis. First of all, RUBP, this thing I have already explained you guys, but I am writing it just for record keeping. RUBP, which is ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate molecule, is the initial CO2 acceptor that we discussed already. Now 3-PGA, 3-phosphoglycerate, which is found right after carboxylation. It is also, the short form is 3-PGA. This is the first stable product of C3 cycle, and it has 3 carbon compounds. Like this is the first 3 carbon compound which is stable. Now glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is formed during reduction, which utilizes ATP and NADPH basically. It is written as GA3P in short form, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This is the actual product of the C3 cycle, which is utilized in various metabolic pathways, like to synthesize carbohydrates like sucrose and all, starch. So this is the entire reaction. 3 carbon dioxide molecule. I am not writing RUBP over here because it is finally regenerated. Right? So 3 CO2 plus 9 ATPs plus 6 NADPH plus H plus will give 1 glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate molecule. And 9 ADPs will be generated because energy stored in the phosphate bond of ATP will be utilized in formation of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. 1 molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and 6 NADP plus will be generated. Basically, they both will be oxidized. Right? So, during Calvin cycle, 2 molecules of NADPH plus H plus and 2 molecules of ATPs are required for the reduction of 1 molecule of CO2. Right? Which occurs here when glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is formed. 2 molecules, so that means 2 molecules, 2 ATP molecules and 2 NADPH plus H plus molecules are utilized during reduction step, while this was in the reduction step. But we have one more step. After carboxylation there is reduction step, and then after reduction there is regeneration step, also the third step. So in that step 1 ATP molecule is utilized during regeneration. So what does it mean? In total how much it will be? 3 ATP molecules, 2 here for reduction, 1 for regeneration. So 3 ATPs and NADPs will be 2. 2 NADPs, H molecules are required in the entire cycle, which is carboxylation plus reduction plus regeneration, right? Now, to understand the concept better, let us solve this question. Sucrose is the most abundant disaccharide in fruits, right? We know that sucrose is how much? C12, H22, O12, right? This is sucrose. It is 12 carbon compound. Let me write only carbons. It has 12 carbon atoms. Right. This is the most abundant disaccharide which is found in fruits. For synthesis of one molecule of sucrose by C3 cycle, it requires a dash ATP and dash NADPH. Now we know for one atom, one C atom, we need how much? Total. How much ATPs? 3 ATP and 2 NADPH. Right. So for 12 carbon atoms which are in sucrose, how much we will need? 3 into 12 ATPs and 3 into 2 NADPH. So how much? 36 ATPs total and 6 NADPH. Oh, this is 12. I'm sorry. 12 into 3, right? 12 into 2. There are 2 NADPH and 12. We will multiply with 12. This because sucrose has 12 carbon atoms. So it will be 24 NADPH. So the answer will be third option. Now one more question. Let us do it also. Let us do this one as well. Sugar of DNA is synthesized by C3 cycle. Because we have C4 cycle also, but till now we are only discussing C3 cycle. Sugar of DNA is synthesized by C3 cycle. It requires dash ATPs and dash NADPH. Now, what kind of sugar do we find in DNA? Pentose sugar, right? Right. Pentose sugar. That means which has 5 carbon atoms. Now, one carbon atom fixation requires how much? 3 ATP and 2 NADPH. So 5 carbon atoms will require 15 into 3 ATPs and 5 into 3 ATPs. I'm sorry, 5 into 2 NADPH. So total will be how much? 15 ATPs and 10 NADPH. So answer is C option again. So that's how we can solve the questions related to C3 cycle if we know that fixation of one carbon atom requires how much. Here I wrote 3 because the stable product, the first actual product is glycerol DH3-phosphate. So we won't do 1. 1 we write just to understand. Because if we do with unitary method, then it is easier. Otherwise, at least 3 CO2s are fixed, so that we could get the actual product of C3 cycle. So that's why 3 into 3 will be 9 over here, and 6 NADPH molecules will be used. 2 are used, so 2 into 3 is equal to 6.